everyone. Welcome to Awake TV. So today Sue and I are going to talk about how to connect with our higher selves and the spiritual team while we are experiencing total chaos around us, just like right now. So let's get into it. So my guide, they have been, including archangels and Aster, have been telling me that you have to focus on what's going on inside your own life, your own goal. Don't look outside, right? And I've been doing that for a few years. And then now what's going on, our country and everything, I couldn't help not to look out. So this is a good idea. I'm pretty sure a lot of us are like that. Let's talk about this. So Sue, what do you think about that? How can we manage our vibration and connect with the higher self while all this crazy stuff is going on out there?
Mhm. Yeah, I know. I've had this similar experience where I'd not been paying attention to the news for years now and have sustained a lot of peace in my life for not doing that. But these times are, especially this year, with what's happening politically and with the virus, you really can't help
Yeah,
but pay attention. Otherwise, I don't think I'm breathing anymore, but
that's
you
true.
know, so you can't help it.
You
And
hear about other people too. Even I don't watch news, but you're still gonna hear about what you need to know from other people, or you
know it or not,
glance on the internet, or even you don't watch TV or the news.
if you're alive and you're around other people, you're going to hear about it, unless you're a
Yeah,
monk, unless you're a monk somewhere in the mountains, which I envy a little bit. But
me
so,
too.
I think what I've done for myself and what seems to work for me is um, not allowing myself to unpack my bags and live in any kind of drama. So, in other words, once the topic is made aware to me and I can feel into it a little bit, I then kind of like note to self, I put it in there and I talk to my guides as you do, Erica. And so I've gone into fear a number of times, and I've had to go to my guides and ask for guidance with how to handle certain situations because some things have been portrayed very fearfully. And
Yeah,
I have concern for not just myself and my family, but the people of the world and the people in, my personal community.
yeah,
So, guidance that I've been given is that I need to, yes, it's okay to be aware, but don't stay in those energies. And if it's something that's impacting my life personally or the people that I love immediately, then I work with and we try to come up with the best possible outcomes. For example, well, I'll tell you the example in a minute. And if it isn't personal, then I have to send out my highest vibrational energy toward the situation, send it off with love, know that it's being taken care of, and come back into my own world. So
yeah,
this is guidance that I've been given. And when I have brought myself back into my own energy field, into my own world, I've discovered this year that there were a lot of things that I had in my own energy field, past old energies that needed to come up and be seen, needed to be embraced and recognized for the lesson that they are. And then I had to let them go with love. So I think the lessons that we see on the macro level are also indicative of what we need to work on within. And I've done a lot of personal work this year. And there are times where I get very, very either afraid or, sad or angry, especially whenever there's been a time where I felt like I'm being controlled by some outside force. And the funny part is then I realize no, I'm not actually being controlled. It's like if I'm paying attention to a news report about something, I could imagine that I'm being controlled, but what's actually happening in my life? Is anybody forcing me to do anything? Not really. Okay.
yeah,
So bringing it back to my personal sovereignty, but The example I give you about a fearful situation, we actually had the virus in our house. I had a family member that was tested positive, and he was ill for a couple of days. And another family member had a little bit of brief illness for a couple of days as well. Same time span, it was 3 days. Myself and the fourth family member had no symptoms at all. Now, the one person who was tested, to be honest with you, and this is just my take on it, but if he had never run out and been tested, I don't think he would have been so fearful about it, because
Oh yeah.
It was more mild than other illnesses that I've seen him have. As a matter of fact, Christmas time last year, he had a much more intense flu or whatever at Christmas time, and I remember that because his family was traveling and had brought that home from Chicago or wherever, and we came in for the visit, and everybody was sick. And they were really sick, you know, like the babies that are just like laying on the couch and their eyeballs were rolling, but they weren't playful, they weren't excited, and they weren't happy to be dragged out to the restaurant for our dinner. But so anyway, I have this posit that if he hadn't had run out to get this test and got the actual diagnosis of being positive, I think he would have been a lot less fearful, because the 3 days that he was ill, it was really pretty mild actually. And so I think we need to, when I say bring it into our world within, I think we need to stop listening to fear.
Yes. And then someone like myself, you know, who used to be factual basis, analytic kind of mind person, what I did when I heard about the situation, I gathered the information from doctors. And then I did hear other wealthy person, he did the investigation on their private doctors, what their take on it. And some of them do have their own, you know, connections. And then what we hear and what doctor they trust are saying are completely different. And then I gathered the information. I had to take my bunch of different vitamins and then stay positive. That's what they said. Because when you are start feeling negative, your immunity goes down. And then they say no vaccines can kill virus, no matter what kind of virus. So you can't really do anything about it. So that was my own research of from the doctor, what doctor told me. So I calmed down about it, even though I have my respiratory issues and I have very weak lungs. So I wanted to know about this. And then that's how I dealt with the situation, my own research, right? But my guide are also saying do not watch news, which I stopped watching for a long time ago. And then more you find out about it, more you get depressed about it, right? Because all they are emitting is vibration fear. And
Yeah.
then now, even though you're sharing all this information, there's no way you can stop sharing the information you hear about it, right? So how you're gonna do, how you're gonna take care of it is it's okay you hear something, and then it's very important to discern your information. Don't accept everything, whoever, you know, even if you hear from your hero. I didn't get my information from doctor, not the one doctor, doctors. Then I spoke with this wealthy person who has more, you know, connection with specialists, and he told me the same thing. So I have bunch of evidence, right? So you don't hear information from one person, you know, but that it's the same thing. You hear, you collect the information from various places, then you just make your own conclusion out of it, no matter what it is.
Yeah, and we talked about discernment before, you and I think it's really worthy of bringing up this topic again over and over again, because whenever we're listening to somebody or we're reading something or we're hearing information of any kind, we feel, if we're paying attention, in ourselves, in our body, and in our heart chakra, whether the information is true or not, our truth. I mean, somebody may be giving you their truth, but are you adopting it to your own truth? And for me, the moment I start feeling fear or tightness in my chest, or I don't want to make that my truth. And we're always manifesting our reality. So, that's much less fact-based than it is a concept of consciousness. But, that is my truth, is that we manifest our own reality. So what am I choosing right now? And if I bring it into my own world, I'm choosing health, perfect health. Yes, I take my vitamins. I try to eat properly. I get exercise. I do all that stuff, that the medical community suggests. And I also believe that I have the power to energetically keep my body healthy just through the intention of it.
Oh, me too.
We believe in sickness, we bring sickness to us. If we believe that there's some magical cure out there, then maybe we can manifest that it would be some miracle cure. But realize
maybe
that
better will come. So.
This is what scientists call the placebo effect. By the way that you believe about something is how you're manifesting it to become true.
But how are we going to reconcile what's going on outside of, illness situation, like a political situation, something like that? It's crazy out there, right? And I was not focusing on it for a long time because looking at the vibration of politicians, none of them are vibrating high. So to me, they're all having their self-interest. So I feel like waste of my time. So I was never, getting into politics after I got awakening. But like this year, it's not about politics of USA anymore. It's affect on much bigger level. And even though you're not watching TV, you hear about it from other people, right? So that's also need to use your discernment, get your own information, do all your research through your trustworthy investigator, and then connect all dots and then make your own conclusion out of it. Then you get the peace of mind while you're still focusing on maybe 70% of within your own world.
Well, and I think that regardless of how the political thing works out, okay, I think you're right, Erica, this is a global thing. This isn't just the American presidency. This is going to affect the world, I believe. So, once it's decided, okay, we're all going to ascend one way or another. It's going to continue. It's just, I think the difference is if it goes this way, it's going to be a little harder road. It's going to be a little more difficult. And if it goes this way, I think it's going to be paved a little bit smoother. Okay, that's just my opinion. Now, so I got the information because of curiosity, started digging into it and seeing the factors and what's going on. This is a momentous, probably one of the most important presidencies that we're ever going to see in our lifetimes. That's my opinion. So after I got the information that I needed for my own, to sate my own curiosity, which way is it going to go? And then I started feeling into it. Then I just started imagining the highest possible outcomes and try and get on the timeline where it goes the easy way. I don't want to go the long way, okay? So I think that's what you talked about in the very beginning of this, which is going back into your own world. What are you manifesting for yourself? And for me, listen, 51 years of doing life the hard way, I'm tired of it. I want the easy road, right? So I made a personal decision that I'm going to manifest my highest timeline. And my highest timeline is it goes this way and everything falls in place the way it needs to. And as you noticed, I have not commented which way I think is the easy way. That's all up for you guys to decide. That's true. What is your truth and what is your reality? But I would suggest that whichever one it is, pick the one that doesn't give you fear. Because the minute you're in fear, is you're not on your highest timeline.
And then according to, my tip of how to discern whoever the information come from or whatever the information, does it makes you feel scared? Does it makes you divided? Okay, division is an agenda. If they're trying to divide you for whatever the way, race, religion, political system, whatever, right? That has an agenda, not peace, harmony. And when you started feeling any kind of lower emotions like hatred, or you have to beat shit out of other group, or fear, that is not a credible source of information.
I agree with that. And yeah, and that's going back into yourself and feeling out the truth. Don't let somebody give you your truth. You're giving your power away when we set some outside source up as some kind of all-knowing or godlike source of information, we've just given our power away.
Uh-huh. And even I tell you, the Catholics, we are not taught to believe in Bible 100%, right? But those of you Christians, you believe in Bibles, which you're allowed to believe it. But it might be a good idea to question it, because Bibles are translated by so many people from one language to another. So when you choose the word, some people can choose the word which is more suitable for their own agenda, right?
Yeah.
And you can connect with source like a Bible from your heart, and then you can find your own truth from it instead of believing in what's written literally.
I agree, and it depends. Any story that is in the Bible that I always considered them parables or from one perspective. So, for example, the Great Flood, with Noah's Ark. Another perspective on that is there was galactic intervention on this Earth, and these galactics were exerting control over us. And when they were forced to leave by a lighter galactic entity, they decided to do some damage on the way out. Well, the light beings communicated to Noah and gave him a heads up that it was going on, but it wasn't certainly global. It
And
was
those light beings are also galactic origin too.
exactly.
My point of the,
Mm-hmm.
demon and all that kind of stuff is, or God in Egyptian time especially, or Greek time, they are galactic being, and the people decided that this is God or this is demons on their own head because they are more
Powerful.
powerful.
They could do things that the humans couldn't do, and so they assigned them the title of gods. And that's happened throughout human history, and that's okay. I just think that now we're starting to raise our consciousness to the level where we're understanding that God's within us.
Yes, and then our prime creator is a consciousness. So we're not gonna meet the prime creator in physical level, he can, we could say everyone is a prime creator by having some kind of physical embodiment, but we cannot really meet the physical prime creator by having some kind of physicality to come down on earth or anywhere, because as far as my understanding as a fully conscious galactic being, no matter how much we ascend as a collective being, we have a long way to go back to the creator.
I'm kind of glad you brought that up about the manifesting in body, because we were just talking about the Bible a little bit, and so many still waiting for the second coming of Christ. And I'll just lend you what my opinion is on that. Certainly take it or leave it, but I believe the second coming isn't a physical coming, like as in incarnating in a body. I think it's the second coming has to do with us finding the Christ consciousness within ourselves.
Yes,
because
exactly.
it's right here. It's in our hearts, and it's never left us. It's never not been there, but we just hadn't recognized it and realized it. And so, that all speaks to unity consciousness and understanding that we are all one ultimately. And then returning to source, who knows how far away that is, like you said. I mean, it's going to be a while, but I mean, the second coming of Christ, I don't believe is going to be a physical person. I think it's us
No.
recognizing it within ourselves. So,
And then as a Catholic, physical coming, you want to be aware of it. Because I did hear the prophecy of Virgin Mary, and then, Antichrist and the sign of the beast and the microchip and stuff like that. I heard that information long, long, long time ago when I was very Catholic.
mm-hmm.
And then there is a truth to it, right? What we are experiencing right now. However, once after we awakened, we know Christ is a high frequency consciousness, can be physical. So he happened to have the name Jesus, but he's everywhere as a Sananda. And he is teaching his mission, which is, he's not even teaching, he's spreading his mission as Christ consciousness, which is for all, not for humans, all beings.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. Like a second coming of Christ is that, because in the Bible they're saying, or Christ was saying something like, what you can do, what I can do, what you can do. He's talking about we can be embodiment of Christ consciousness. That's what his mission is.
Yeah, I like that part because I've gone over that quite a few times in my own mind. Everything that I can do, you can also do. We are sons and daughters of the Father. So that's a connection to me. That's him saying, yeah, if I can walk on water, if I can heal, so can you. And why is that? Because we're all part of source. We're all part
of creator, not just humans.
Yeah.
Okay? Those Christian people don't look down or scared of extraterrestrials. Some of them are good people just like us. Only minorities are really bad and they stand out. And some of them you call as demons. Not everybody. Right? Majority of them are hugely aware of we are the children of Prime Creator more than as humans, because they have a direct connection to the Prime Creator. And then all these majority of ETs are doing mission work. Where does it come from? Prime Creator,
And the reason that any other darker agenda was allowed to happen on Earth is because we wanted separation. We signed up for it. So, this is where we got to bring it back home and say, understand that as creators, we also had the choice before we came into this life to experience separation. This is why we came to Earth. You can't have separation if you don't have light and dark, right? Yeah. So you're talking about other beings that have unity consciousness. They recognize their connection to source, and they're off having other experiences. But why do we come here? We came here to experience separation and remember that we are all source. So that's why that was allowed to happen, but we chose it. There were extraterrestrials that were that have a dark agenda and did have a dark agenda, but we have now that we're coming to this age of enlightenment and spiritual ascension, we are overriding their ability to do that anymore because we have chosen the light. We have chosen the higher vibration. And we've done it on such a level where there's so many of us making that choice. As long as we continue to hold the light, the dark can't touch us.
Dark cannot. And then when a dark decided to turn into the light, they can do that too.
They can choose that as well. Absolutely. At any moment.
That's what the understanding of higher conscious galactic beings are having. So after you ascend to higher dimensions, there's no war.
Right.
War and all this stuff like invasion is happening in 4D level, not just Earth, other planet too. After 5D and go up more dimensions, there's no more. But we still are working for lower dimension people because we're all the children of the Prime Creator. We help out with each other.
Yeah. Yeah, we volunteered for this for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And each one of us, I'll just step it back one more moment. We came to experience separation, but we are already the ascended version of ourselves, right? We talked about this last time, I think. The part of us that is our higher self that sent our soul down here to have this 3D experience, it's already way up there. It hasn't gone back into source yet, but I mean, we are already our highest versions, just having a lower dimensional consciousness experience.
Yeah, by experiencing it, we have more understanding of others, and then we can be more compassionate toward others, such as dark force. That doesn't mean they can walk all over you and let the shit happen to us. We have to stand up ourselves when it's necessary, right? But we can have compassion.
Yeah, and we're helping each other to remember our sovereignty.
Yeah.
Amidst all this shit that's being thrown at us, we're being asked to remember our higher sovereign beingness, which is free will and free choice. And what am I choosing and what am I creating for myself?
So the way to connect with our higher self and ultimately the Prime Creator is love. Okay? To loving ourselves, loving, I sound like Christ, like loving our enemies, you know, having compassionate toward each other, and be kind to us, and don't beat ourselves up to working so hard when we're so tired of it. You know, when we give love to ourselves, we automatically connect with higher self.
And I think it's really important what you just said about being compassionate with ourselves, because every one of us is going to fall into fear from time to time. I mean, there's a lot going on, big changes, right? And we did choose this human existence, so we have human emotion. But I mean, that's part of loving ourselves is being compassionate with ourselves when we fall into the fear, or if we get angry or whatever it is that we think is not worthy of a light worker behavior. You know,
Feel that emotion
and judgment, forget it, let it go and say, okay, I went there, I was there, and it's okay. And so where am I going now, you know, and bring it back around to dropping the fear. And I think it's really great that you sounded like Jesus, because I mean, really, what so many people can't be wrong, right? Donald Trump was asked, "Are you the most famous person in the world?" And he said, "No, that would be Jesus." And whether you like him or hate him,
too.
I think that was brilliant what he said, because why so many people were attracted to the message, because it's a good message, and there are obviously other ascended masters that walk that people followed en masse. And why is that? Because what they're saying is a truth. It's a universal truth.
Yeah, so you know, Christianity is not having only truth. Each religion do have it. I don't believe in religion because it's a control system. Okay, but once you go back to the oldest religion, that's a Hinduism, not the Hindu religion. There's I forgot the name of the sect, a particular sect they started out oldest religion, and then the word they use, some of them they are taught all of thought and idea from aliens. Okay, so you know, and they came to their land and taught them all this
language.
No, not the language. I'm talking about the consciousness, like message, right? How to spread the whatever, the good thing or whatever, right? So higher consciousness are not stupid, right? If they cannot send, you know, extraterrestrials right now to give the teaching or whatever it is, they created religion. It was created for the control mechanism, but there's always duality. So if it's even it's made by that purpose, you can slip into always the truth into it in every religion.
Yeah. And I always use my discernment. You know, when I was a kid, I have in my family, they've passed now, but I have clergy in my family, my great aunt and my great uncle and some other great uncles. There were a slew of them that went into theology. Um, and I could, even as a child, and this is what I suggest, go back to your childlike nature of discerning, you know, by feeling into a situation, you know, whether somebody's clergy or they're just everyday Joe walking down the street, you can feel about a person whether their intention toward you or toward other people is kind and loving, or is there an agenda? And
Yeah. Don't
so,
look at the people by their title or position. I did go to confession like when I was very Catholic, and then it was a big cathedral. I won't tell you which one. And then the father, after I made a confession, father made sexual remarks.
uh,
I was in shock. I couldn't go to that place for a while.
uh,
And
yeah,
then now we hear a lot of things about even Catholic priests doing pedophile or other questionable activity, right? So
yeah.
you can really look at a person like, okay, we have to really listen to this authoritative figure because he's this and that.
Yeah, you really need to feel into whether that, what is the intention of that. And you know, the more we tune in to our internal state of being and what our body's communicating and what our emotions are telling us, the more connected to source we are. So that's the truth.
Yeah, more we get into our heart centered, that's automatic connection to our higher self and our divine self and the prime creator and our guide. Mind is later prototype of human creation created by ETs, and then that was more Leptarian 4D kind of a consciousness, which is not that bad. They thought it was a good idea to make a creature who can manage heart and mind in balance, which is quite difficult to do. Even, Sue and I, we're still pretty conscious, but to have a perfect balance, it's challenging, Just only having heart, it's much easier.
It's true. I can't argue with you on that. Well, you know, and also the mind has survival value.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's what, but now that we're becoming more evolved, you know, so people call that the ego self, the survival part.
Mm-hmm.
So early humans needed that so they could know when they needed to get away from dinosaurs, I guess, something like that. But, or whether to get out of the cold or build a shelter or whatever. So, you know, it definitely had survival uh, value. But now that we're um, not needing so much to worry about dinosaurs and shelters. I mean, some people still do. We can start using our mind. I think it's just good for disseminating information, you know. So once you
Mm-hmm.
receive the
We can use
information,
that for the discernment.
if
We
you
can use
stay
our
in the
mind.
mind, you're missing half of the puzzle, and the other half is whether that information you're getting is true.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, you know, like you said, balance, and that's what we're always striving for. And, you know, we really have to be kind to ourselves if we do get out of balance. We can't look at it as a failure of any kind. It's just, you know, we're working on it. We're working it out and we're making it happen. And everything's a learning experience anyway. So, I mean, we take life so seriously. In the end, we shed these bodies and we go home, and we're just so happy to be home. And you know, that's my opinion, but that's my belief. And so I don't really even worry about death. I'm not in a hurry to go. I'm kind of having some fun these days, but and I have family that you know rely on me, but so I'm not in a hurry to leave, but on the other hand, if it happened tomorrow, I'd be really, really okay with it. And so I think like part of the getting rid of fear in our lives is to stop taking everything so damn seriously.
Yeah,
Because
and then when even you feel the fear, which is reptile part of the brain, the part of the reason we are created this way, because we are a mixture of all different alien genetics, and one of the prototype included reptile brain, and then we end up having all of that prototype right now. So because of we wanted means higher conscious extraterrestrials wanted to make a humanity who represent everyone, right? So we can create a peaceful universe and a peaceful world, because when you're mixed with all different species, alien species, you know, we are future, right? That's how people are looking at Earth. Why they are looking at Earth? Because each one of them, we have their genetics.
Yeah.
So we are created that way for the prayer of peaceful world.
Well, and we can certainly take some lessons from some of our otherworldly friends out there in working together and protecting and loyalty towards unity consciousness.
Oh yes.
I welcome the intervention. I welcome the connection, and I look forward to remembering even more.
Yeah, looking forward to have our physical meetings, you know.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
until then, we are here on our own, even though they're helping us. We
Yeah.
can't really look for any Jesus from skies or Jesus himself. This is a lesson, right? We are going through all this stuff. So we learn how to empower ourselves and stand up ourselves. So we are no longer demonstrating we are powerless creature.
Yeah, we're no longer being led by the nose and taught what to believe or given our truth. We're discovering our own.
Whatever the truth is. So yeah, so even that, it's very important for us to connect our heart. I just talked about having balance in mind and the heart, but seriously, connect with your heart, because the more you use your mind, it's gonna take you to nowhere.
Well, it can certainly take you off on a tangent. And you know, in quantum healing, which you and I do, we talk to our clients about it's okay if your conscious mind wants to come along for the journey, but we're going to ask your conscious mind to take a back seat and just observe, because when we're on this journey, we don't need the conscious mind to protect us. You're
Yeah.
safe. You're not going to be harmed in any way, because we're here as practitioners to make sure that your journey keeps you safe. And that's what our job is. We're just taking people into an exploration of their consciousness, but that conscious mind is invited to just sit back and relax and take a backseat. We don't care if you observe, but you're not intervening, and you're not going to have a part in this. You're going to just watch it. And that's the exciting thing is once we realize that we can tell our mind to take a powder for a while.
Yeah.
That's our choice, and it will do that, because we've told it we don't need you to keep us alive right now. We're fine.
So even for the chaotic time, we can use our mind for discernment and the research. And then after mind did its job, we can take our heart to take over everything else, so we can keep ourselves stable no matter what is happening outside. And then we can stay connected with our higher self and spiritual guide and our plan creator.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what we wanted to talk about. And then next week, we want to talk about more political stuff, how we can connect time like this in spiritual point of view.
Sounds
So,
good.
alrighty, thank you so much for listening, watching. And if you think somebody need to hear about this topic, please share. And then thank you so much for you guys. See you next Friday.
Okay.
Bye.